traders, Nick with Vant Trading here, and today I'm going to be going through creating effective trading goals for 2021. We just had a very lucrative year of trading, and we're going into what could possibly be an even more lucrative year of trading. And we're talking for day traders and swing traders alike. So today I'm going to walk through, well, going into this new year, how can you set effective trading goals? Because let's be honest, most of us do not follow our goals going into the new year. Most of us have, in fact, have given up probably a month or two in. So how can you go out and try to set some new interesting goals? How can you possibly anchor some emotion to these goals? And we're going to approach this from a fairly unique perspective in our opinions. I think that what we're going to talk about today is not something you see too often, and it's going to be taking it from a whole different perspective. You can take this whole video and try to use it for yourself. You can take bits and pieces, whatever works for you, but we are here to give you a hopefully new, fresh perspective on how you, as a trader, can set some effective trading goals going throughout the year and then break those down into objectives to become a successful trader. Let me get myself off this screen and let's get started. Now, first of all, why are we talking about this video? Why are you going to always see these videos out there talking about how to set effective goals and SMART goals and reaching your New Year's resolutions? Well, that's because most people fail at it. In fact, the University of Scranton did a study recently and found that 8% of people achieve their goals by the end of the year. 8%. What kind of percentage is that? I mean, that's obscene. In fact, out of the amount of people that start the new year with some new resolutions and goals going forward, 80% of them drop their goals by February. Come on, people, we ain't even making it a month in. So this is why it's so important, because that 8%, they're probably the ones succeeding. They're probably the ones who are able to make a living trading right now or elevate their game to the next level. So this can be applied to anything outside of trading as well. If you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to succeed in another area of business or expertise or in your life. And this is a great, because look, hey, if you're waiting to go to the gym, but you're scared because it's super crowded because of all the New Year's resolutioners, just wait a month. And guess what? About 80% of them are going to be gone, and they might come here and there. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to avoid this, because typically traders are going to revert to their old habits within 2 weeks of the new year. I mean, most traders are going to set these goals and say, yeah, I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do to become a successful trader. 2 weeks in, they're like, God, this is boring. I want to get back to Robinhood and start swinging money in Tesla options. And then they're going to go back to their old habits. They're going to blow out their account, and the story goes on and on. So why are goals important? If no one can achieve them, why even bother? Well, goals are vital to trading success. They absolutely are. Because look, we as humans, I hate to say it, we're hardwired for failure. We can't help but to do what's comfortable. Our nature is to avoid pain. Our nature is to do the easy path. It's a survival instinct. All right. And look, when it comes into failure, heuristics and emotion play a huge part in failure. And this is even more prevalent so in trading. So you need to set objective goals that can keep you centered in. Now, it is very, very, very easy to open up a trading account and start trading. You could do the whole process on your phone. You can trade from your phone. You could trade from your tablet. You could trade wherever you want, however you want. You can trade it on a boat with a goat, in your house with a mouse. Who cares? And it's so easy that you can just bypass all the important stuff you need to do, like setting effective goals. And being able to properly set goals that will keep you on the path to success, that is where success is going to come to you as a trader. And look, you're going to be competing against the best of the best out there in the markets. You're going to be stepping onto that NFL field, and if you haven't caught a pass before, you're going to get laid out, and they are going to take your money. And so trading with a higher failure rate is just going to be even easier. It's going to be harder to set goals and follow them to become a successful trader than to lose weight or than to do all of these other things, because traders have these unique challenges that are going to have to really fight against our hardwiring to avoid emotion and avoid the heuristics that come into play. So what are two of the most common reasons traders don't reach their goals? Because look, a lot of traders set out with good intentions. They set good goals. Many of them actually set some pretty decent goals. Well, the number one reason for failure, and this is for following goals, for success in trading, whatever, is because they don't have a plan. Or they have a plan and they don't stick to it. This is the main reason. We talk about trading plans and the importance of setting up a trading plan in our Day Trading for Success series that we just put out on YouTube. But I mean, this is it, man. If you don't have a plan and you don't stick to that plan, you're not going to succeed. And maybe, they have the goals, but from there, what? They don't have the objectives, the milestones they need to reach to help support them along the way. They see the end result, but they don't see the pathway before them, and they don't know what am I supposed to be doing now? Okay, I want financial freedom. I want this goal. Now what? And they don't set those objectives, and they don't break it down into smaller, realistic chunks. And so they're not able to effectively achieve those goals. So before we even begin talking about setting effective goals, we need to understand the difference between goals and objectives. This is the key here for us. This is why we want to kind of dive into this, because I think this is what a lot of people fail to do. So when you're setting goals, your overarching goals, look, these are going to be broader in nature. They are. They're going to be more overreaching, and they're going to be a little more big picture. These need to be related to your why. If you watched our video on trading plans, or you know what a vision statement is, a why statement, you need to know your why. Why are you doing this? Why are you creating these goals? Why are you setting out? And these goals need to touch upon aspects of that why. Because look, money's not going to be enough. You just want to do it to get some dollar bills. It ain't going to be enough to move you. It's not going to be enough to motivate 99.999% of the people out there. So you need to anchor an emotion to these goals. This is where a lot of people fail. They don't give these goals emotion and anchoring in their soul. What is it that this money is going to give you? Why do you want the money? You don't just want it to just have it in your hand. You want it for a reason, for a real emotion. And this is going to be valuable for setting your direction going forward. These are going to be longer term, and it's going to be a very top-down approach. So look, these can be your yearly. You should also have some quarterly goals, maybe some monthly goals as well if you want, but really get those hard-hitting goals. And so what you should be deciding first, don't decide I want $10,000 from trading. No. Decide your desired state first. I want emotional happiness. I want the emotional freedom. I want security. I want to feel, I want to be able to take my kids out in the middle of a workday when everyone else is stuck in a cubicle. What is that emotion that's in there? And then you need to take that emotion and then anchor it into a physical state. And then from, having that physical state, that money that you need, or that certain goal that you need to reach to have that desired emotional state, then once you've got the physical state, you can then break off signposts and some things along the way and kind of see, all right, well, now I can chunk this physical state apart and see what really makes it tick. So let's just go through a couple examples here. These aren't, the most mind-blowing examples you'll ever see, but I want you to just kind of get a feel for it, because yes, look, you can have some monetary goals to an extent. You got to be very careful with them. I'm not saying all of your goals can be P&L based. They cannot all be P&L based. So let's talk about our first goal. This is the standard goal that a lot of people really feel, and that's financial freedom. I want to be financially free. I don't want to have debt. I want to feel just happy and know that I can put my kids through college, or I can, spend money on my parents, or whatever I need to do. So what states or emotions can you anchor to this? Well, security, excitement, what speaks to you? So you take these emotions and you know, okay, so this is where we get it. All right, how do I quantify this? At what point do I get these emotions? At what level does this happen? Well, maybe it's $10,000 a month. And then, if you want to help really drill it down, really get those signposts, because look, the more signposts you have, the easier it's going to be to set those objectives, which we're going to talk about in a moment. So you could break this down. Well, maybe I want to try to make this much a week on average, or a day, or, This could be with taxes, without taxes, whatever you want to do here, that really resonates with you and will get you to where you need to be. And I'm not saying, look, like I said, you got to be very careful if you set these P&L goals like this, because I don't want that daily dollar value. That can't be something you look at every day. That will only ruin your trading. It will only mess you up. And so I'm just saying that, breaking these down in the signposts are now going to help us in some of the next steps. But you break it down, but you start with the goal and start with the emotion. And then you get to that physical state, and then you break that out. Let's look at another one. Maybe, you don't want a monetary goal. You just want to be able to trade with a very acceptable level of stress. You hate the stress that trading gives you, and you hate that feeling. Well, what is that? What are the states or emotions that you can anchor to that goal? Well, security. Obviously, you won't feel like you're risking all your money, and you feel like you'll be financially secure. What about, some negative emotions you could put in there with stress? Anything like that. How do you quantify this? What is the physical thing that you can tie this to? Your risk profile. How much are you risking in a trade? How much are you willing to risk in a day? Whatever. And so what you do is then you say, all right, well, what is my risk profile? And how can I break this out into its components to be able to help me achieve this? And so you could say, well, I only want to risk this much a day. Because if it's over $250 a trade and I'm risking that, I'm going to get emotional. And this is going to take a little soul searching. It might take some practice. You should have an emotional journal while you're trading, and you're writing in this journal while you're trading, and so that you're able to identify, all right, I'm getting a little big in size, and I'm starting to have these emotions affect my trading. So maybe it's a percent a trade or a cumulative in a day. Break out these signposts that you can then follow and put some objectives towards, because then if you can achieve those, then you're going to achieve the overarching, well, I've achieved these and this feels good. I never feel like I'm risking too much. And so now I'm trading with an acceptable level of stress. So we've talked about the goals, and we talked about, assigning these goals value and breaking them out. So now what you can do is you can set objectives. Once these goals are set, once all of this is done, the objectives is the next step towards creating a clear understanding of how you reach these outcomes. We set the goal, we've tied this emotion to it, we've anchored it into us, and we've really given it some weight, some emotional significance. We put it into a physical state, we've broken that out. Now, what are the steps I can do to achieve this? These are going to be more narrow in scope. Yes, you've got the overarching goal, but now how do you reach that? A lot of people don't do this, and this is why they fail. All right, these need to be specific steps. These need to be a lot more specific and honed in, because, this is what, if I do this and I do this and I do this, I'm going to achieve that. They need to be very system oriented many of the times. And we're going to go through some examples. They're obviously going to be shorter term, and they need to be easy to measure. All right, there can't be, well, did I really do that? I can't really tell. No, you need to know if you did it or not. We're not drilling down is the main reason why people don't achieve these goals. We need to get into the nitty gritty. And so what we're doing is we're taking the system components, you're taking those signposts and the pieces that get you there, and then you're giving yourself daily actions that are kind of systematic around habits and systems that you form that'll help you achieve this goal. So let's take an example. Say we've got our two goals here. Now, you got to be very careful. These goals need to be in alignment. They cannot conflict with each other, obviously. You can't have a goal of, I want to become super fit and ripped, but I want to eat 20,000 calories a day, or I want to drink, 20 beers a day. You can't have, I want to make 5% a day, but I don't want to risk anything. They need to be congruent to an extent. So we have, say a financial freedom goal, and we have our trade with medium level of stress, our risk profile. And we broke out earlier those emotions in the signpost. So what are some of the objectives that we can do? And these can be recurring objectives. For example, maybe you only take 8+ setups with a risk to reward ratio of 3-to-1 or better. You never risk $1 to make less than $3. That will get you on this step towards your risk profile and towards your financial freedom. Maybe say you have a checklist of you'll only enter a trade if, if either this happens, this happens, this happens, this happens. It could be based on price action, on indicators, whatever. Well, say, you need 5 confirmations to enter a trade. Maybe now you have trade shares that will only risk 5% of your entire trading account on a single trade. maybe 1.5% maximum loss per day. Use some position sizing in there. 5% max loss per month. Trade with 95% efficiency. And what I mean there is that if you have a system, you need to follow that system to the T at least 95% of the time. And we talk about this in our day trading series, so I would definitely check that out if you need to know more about that. But if you set the trading goal, in a trading system, you don't follow it, well, then obviously that's not going to work. So these are some objectives now that we have that if we follow this every single day, we will reach our goals. So, we've got the stepping stones. Now you could break out some more objectives if you need to, say, set up a trading account, something along those lines. And so, you can go on from there. Now, I'm just going to mention, because look, I'm sure you've heard this 100 times. I'm not going to spend time on this. You need to be very smart with your planning. You need to be specific. It needs to be measurable. You can't be abstract here with your objectives and with what you're doing. You need to be able to measure your progress, because if you're not able to measure your progress, how do you know a month in, 2 months in, if you're actually making progress? It needs to be attainable. Let's be realistic here, people. You're going to start with $5,000. You can't say, I want to make $20 million. I mean, it's happened before, but you got to be realistic. It needs to be relevant, and it needs to be timely, okay? You need to have a time horizon here. We can't just say in the future, someday. All right, so, we talk about SMART goals. There's 100 resources out there on SMART things. Look that up if you need to know more. We've talked about this before, the trading plan. If you don't have a trading plan, you are probably not going to succeed long term. We talk about this extensively in some of our videos. The trading plan is your ultimate tool. This is the one tool that will organize and hold everything in one place. It should be a binder, a physical binder. It should be a living, breathing binder here that you have your vision statement, your goals, your trading plans, your beliefs, your, every aspect of this, of trading, of your goals, of everything should be in this trading plan. It needs to be there. And it needs to be physical. It will help you be in alignment with your life, making sure that you have your daily schedule in there and the rest of your life in there. This is, have your tools for tracking progress in there, whether that's Excel or a spreadsheet or some kind of table that you put together, whatever it is. Keep it simple, stupid. Yes, look, I understand that you want to spend months and months kind of setting this up and getting, your trading plan set up, and that's fine, but don't overcomplicate it, because then when you're finally about to start, you're going to be like, Jesus Christ, I made this complicated. What am I doing again? So don't overwhelm yourself. And remember, the trading plan is a living, breathing document. You can edit this a month in, a quarter in. If you need to make adjustments, maybe you reach the goal sooner. Maybe you realize, okay, I need to add something to change my risk profile. This is a living document. A decision you make now shouldn't be set in stone 9 months from now if the market structure changes or if your life changes. And look, you shouldn't be doing this for every year. You should be doing this at least every quarter, reviewing this, making sure your goals are in alignment, setting new goals, setting quarterly goals, whatever you need to do, you need to constantly be on top of it, because 3 months down the line, you're going to start to fade a little bit. You start to forget. And so re-diving in full throttle and rehashing this out will recommit you and re-cement you in. Now, goals are not looked at during the trading day. Get that P&L off your screen. Now, yes, you do need to have a, tracking P&L to make sure you're not risking too much and, you're protecting your capital. I'm just saying, you shouldn't be matching, well, I'm up this much. Does that fit my overarching yearly goal? No, don't worry about that. That's not what you need to look at. You set that to kind of help break out the signpost to create your trading plan. This isn't to monitor yourself every day. Your objectives are what you need to be looking at during every single trade. The specific habits needed in your system to achieve the desired results. Are you following those plans? Are you following that risk profile? The goals are simply the measuring stick to identify issues and to confirm you're on track. They're kind of your guiding post. Pilots are off track. I believe I saw a statistic that pilots in a plane are off track like 90% of the time. They're just making little micro adjustments constantly throughout. Now, that might not be as true with advanced computers these days. I don't know. But I think it's a very apt description. You need to be, the goals are that end destination, that tarmac. But you're not looking at the tarmac the whole time. You're looking at your destination, making those micro adjustments to make sure you're headed in the right direction. And if you're not hitting your goals or you don't seem like you're on pace, maybe, are they reasonable? Were you unrealistic in your goal setting? Are there any conflicting goals? We talked about that. Is your system flawed? Are you expecting too much? Do you need to really dive into your trading system a little more? Do your objectives need to be tweaked? Maybe you didn't dive in depth, or maybe your objectives weren't focusing on the right thing. You set these objectives and these trading plans, but you're not getting the amount of trades you need to be successful. So maybe you need to change and tweak those objectives. Maybe nothing needs to change. Maybe you're realistic and you're on pace, but maybe you're looking at it and you're like, well, I can reach this goal in a year and a half, in 2 years. Is that acceptable? Am I being realistic here? Do I need to change my time frame? And that could be perfectly fine. There's a number of things that you can look at if a month down the road you review where you are, 2 months down the road, or a quarter down the road you review and you look and you're like, I'm a little off. These are some of the things you can look at. So, you have your goals, you have your objectives. Now you need your processes. Once you have your goals and objectives figured out, how are you going to do this? What are the actual processes that you're going to do every day? Yeah, we want to dive in even more. What are your daily habits that you're going to do every day? What are the tools that are going to organize your actions to achieve your objectives? All right, so now you want to have that risk parameter of only risking 250 shares a day. Well, how are you going to achieve that? Well, before you enter a trade, you're going to do this and you're going to do this. You're going to check these emotions and you're going to do this calculation and you're going to pre-set up your order to make sure it's right. You're going to have this process to make sure that you're properly meeting these objectives. There should be emotional processes. You need to be identifying the heuristics and emotions that affect you most. Have an emotional journal. There's no reason not to. You don't have to share this with anyone. Just a journal next to you that you can write in while you're trading, and you can realize, okay, I'm starting to feel some emotions in these trades. Why? And then you can figure that out. How do you review and analyze your processes? You need to be reviewing your trades every day. You need to be reviewing your processes. Create that system now. Create that process now so you don't have to figure it out as you go along. What about your trading processes? How are you going to be identifying and deciding on taking a trade? How do you manage your exits? This is your trading plan to a T. You need to figure this stuff out. Otherwise, how are you going to reach those goals? And your mindset processes. A lot of people miss out on this one. You need to visualize. You need to have a positive mindset because, look, if you've watched our videos, if you watched any videos, you know that trading, you're going to probably start out losing money, and it happens. So you need to have a process to nurture your mindset and grow that. Visualize, meditate, whatever it is. So there are some tools for tracking your goals out there you can use. Your trading journal is number one. Learn more about that in some of our videos. Just Google it. Start making your own. Your trading plan. Huge, 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 huge. You could get some software out there to help you. Excel, Word, Evernote. There's so many different softwares out there that people have coded and put together just for you and your lazy butt to be able to do this easier. There's so much help out there. Tape a poster board above your computer with your goals and your objectives. It could be as simple as that if that works for you. There's so many different things you could do. Maybe give yourself a point system. Maybe every objective or every goal is a point. And so, you're like, well, if I can at least get 8 out of 10 of these, I'm good. And so, now it's an actually physical kind of scoring system, and you'll know if you're on pace. There's all sorts of software out there that can help you with your goals. I can't speak to any of these. These are just some of the top referenced ones we've seen in our research: Goal Buddy, Goal Enforcer, Goalscape, Goals on Track, Life Tick, Strides, whatever you want. Or just a good old piece of pen and paper. We use Excel a lot. You would be surprised. It's a basic software, but you can do so much with it. We organize ourselves very nicely on there. You could use Word. You could use whatever you want. There's so much out there. So plan that out. You decide on what tools you're going to use to help you along the way. It'll help you. This is your support system. So what are some final tips? Because I want to wrap this one up because I think you kind of understand where we are. Make sure you have a trading plan. I can't say it enough. If you don't have a trading plan, this is going to be harder for you. Keep it simple. You don't need to get too complex. Yes, clarity and specificity is very key, but if you have 1,000 hurdles and hoops to jump through and you're making it too complicated, it's going to hurt you along the way. Reward yourself along the way. Look, you're a month in and you're like, holy shit, I'm reaching my goals. I'm on pace. Hell yeah, brother. Go out and celebrate. Embrace it. Pump your chest. I don't care what you do. Howl at the moon. Pound a beer. Do whatever, but reward yourself. Find a mentor or community. This is huge. There are so many trading communities out there. You could find forums, chat rooms. There's 100 different people that you can talk to out there. YouTube communities, hint, hint, Reddit communities, whatever you want. Even if it's just some friends, and you're like, can I bounce these things off of you? Just get a community or a mentor. Find someone to help you. Accountability. Find someone to help you hold yourself accountable, whether it's your wife. I'm sure your wife would love to yell at you if you're not doing your goals. Your boyfriend, girlfriend, your parents, your brother, sister, a mentor, anyone. Just find someone to help. Give yourself some accountable. Because the more accountable you feel, then the more likely you are to succeed and stick with it. Vision statements. Anything that's going to help you stay motivated. Have some daily incantations that you read every morning. We do this, and it has kept us going, baby, especially during the hard times when you've got that thing that you read that is going to fire you up. It's great. Incentivize yourself. Look, you need to tie yourself to emotions, get yourself excited, and if you don't do that, it's not going to last in the long run. I appreciate you all for tuning in. I hope that this was not too long, but at least maybe a unique way to look at it. Anchoring our emotions to the goals and really tying that to that core reasoning and that process, and then taking that and equating it to a physical state, breaking that physical state out so that you can better understand, well, what does it take to achieve that? And then from there, you set objectives to reach those pieces. And look, it's a process, but 80% of people are going to be done with their New Year's resolutions in a month. They're going to have given up. 8% of people, and it's probably lower, especially with quarantine and all the craziness that's going on out there, 8% of people aren't going to achieve their goals in the end of the year. So what can you do to further yourself, to reach those goals? Take pieces of this if you want. I'm not here to tell you how to do something. You know what's best for you. It's going to take some soul searching, a little honesty. But look, anyone can be a trader. We talk about this all the time. It just takes patience, setting up the right system, having a good support system and knowledge base, and really working it and being very patient. Don't try to run with the bulls, fresh out the gate. All right, let's take it slow, and let's start off with, let's kick this new year off with a bang, because there's going to be a lot of profits to be made this year, and I want as many people as possible to be out there and living their lives as day traders. This was Nick with Vant Trading. I appreciate you tuning in, and I hope that this was helpful and informative. Be sure to drop a comment if you have any questions. I will be sure to respond to you. Hit a like if you liked anything about this, if anything like this resonated with you. Follow our Twitter. We will put any of our stock callouts and interactions on there as well. And as always, safe trading.